Hey, did you catch last week's video? I talked about love and hate and how hate is not, it's just not acceptable for Christians, and yet we need to love each other. Yet how do we do that? And how important is that in the scheme of things in today's world? I want to talk more about that today. Life can be quite the bending road. Sometimes it's nice and gentle, and sometimes it's a bit scary. The truth is that we will all experience a difficult bend in our road at some point. But it's also true that God will see us through. Let's travel this bending road together and help each other in our journey. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to catch other videos along the way. Welcome back to the Bending Road. So glad you could join me today. Yeah, last week I talked about this air of such hatred in our culture, hateful words, hateful actions, and coming from everybody, including Christians. And again, I'm not judging those who do not call themselves Christian, but if we do, then we need to live a life of love. I mean, things are not easy in this world. It's really hard. And Jesus affirmed that, right? In John 16:33, he said, in this world you will have trouble. I mean, he didn't pull any punches. He didn't say, oh, well, it won't be so bad. And you'll be all right, just stick to it and you'll be fine. No, he says, in this world you're going to have trouble. And speaking to his followers in Matthew 10:22, he says, you will be hated by everyone because of me. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And so what is he talking about? The end. And we hear about the end times and what exactly that's going to look like, where we'll be, how it will affect the world. I mean, we can speculate all day, but we don't know exactly what that looks like. But we get a picture of what will be happening when we read 2 Timothy 3:1-7. And he just talks about the terrible times that are coming and how people will be lovers of themselves and of money. They'll be boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, and without love, unforgiving, slanderous and without self-control, brutals and not lover of the good. Does any of this sound familiar? If not, have you watched the news recently? Have you watched any YouTube recently? I mean, have you read a tweet or two or been on Facebook? I mean, this is it. And he says in verse 5, you have a form of godliness, but you deny its power. And that is, I see it all the time. And it happens, it's all of us, right? I'm not calling out everybody else without calling out myself. I need to work at this. It says they are the kind who will worm their way into your homes and gain control over gullible women who are loaded down with sin and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning, but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. So I think that's a fascinating statement, because I'm not sure what they meant in those days about people who worm their way into their home and gain control, because I know what it means today. We can get on, again, YouTube news, Twitter, Facebook, and now everybody has an opportunity to worm their way into your home. And if you are gullible, and I'll say this is not just women, this is men and women alike, young and old, everybody. If you are gullible, then these kind of people, as described previously, and I encourage you, go back and read that again. Read that 2 Timothy 3:1-7 and just consider that. And ask yourself, are any of these people, have they wormed their way into my space? Even if you've never met them, maybe it's on your devices or on TV. Have they gained control over me in any way? So the people that they can gain control over are those who are loaded down by sin and swayed by those evil desires. Now remember, and I say this often, those evil desires, they come from within. It's not something that's being done to you. It's from within. Now, yeah, Satan goes around and he pokes those buttons and he gets you going. He tried to do that to Jesus in the wilderness. Here, look at this beautiful loaf of bread, or this stone. Don't you want to turn it into a loaf of bread? Those desires are in us. We need to protect ourselves, and we need to make sure that those buttons do not get pushed. But it also says in verse 7 that they're always learning but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. So when we're gullible and we're swayed by our evil desires, we're loaded down by sin, we may be hearing scripture, we may be reading scripture and doing our devotional, we may be going to church and hearing the sermon, you may be hearing really good biblical teaching, but it's not getting into your heart. Right? That sin, that the evil desires block that from getting into. So we hear it, we learn it, it's coming in, but we never come to a knowledge of the truth. And I think there's a lot of folks who find their way there. This isn't easy. And so how do we do this? Well, I was thinking this morning as I was having a coaching call, my insurance company offered this program. It's a pre-diabetes prevention program. And although I haven't been diagnosed pre-diabetic or diabetic, I thought this is a good opportunity to kind of head that off. I know that, I was in Weight Watchers years ago and I learned a lot and I did really well in the program, loved the program. But when we got out of the program, because we had to move to a new area and I didn't find a good program there, I didn't work hard at it. I fell into all of those traps again. I was loaded down with sin and swayed by all kinds of evil desires, gluttony, laziness, not wanting to get up and get exercise, and all of that stuff it's a vicious circle. So when you don't, then you don't want to, and you don't, and it makes you feel guilty, and then guilt weighs you down, and it becomes really, really a vicious circle. I mean, I knew how to do this. I knew how to stay in touch with what I needed to do and how to track my food and how to do the exercise and so forth. So what happened? Well, we moved away from my accountability partner. We moved away from the one who would hold me accountable and encourage me. The one who would say, you did a really good job this week. I can't wait to see what you do next week. This is really, really good. And okay, so maybe you didn't have a good week this week. That's okay. It's 1 week. What are our goals for next week? How are we going to do this next week? I want to encourage you, and then call and check in. How are you doing midweek? How did you do last week? I moved away from that, and I realized just how important that is. I so appreciated my coach this morning with this program. We have a coaching call once a month. How did you do? What are your goals? Where are you struggling? What can I help you with? And I think that's so important. And I did a series of videos a while back about lessons I learned in Weight Watchers, spiritual lessons I learned in Weight Watchers. I encourage you, go back and check those out. We need that accountability partner. We need to be journaling. We need to be keeping track. How am I doing? Where is my struggle? What do I need to do to balance that? And who can I go to? When we think about people who need our help, other Christians in our church, we think about people who maybe have a health crisis in themselves or in the family, and we go to them and we help and we encourage and support them. But that's not the only time to do that. I was reading in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. It says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up. This isn't just when we're sick or we have a major problem in life. Encourage one another and build each other up daily. We should. Call one another. How you doing? Is everything all right? Sit down with friends. That's why I really think it's so important to have a women's group and a men's group that can be honest. We need to be able to be honest. Gosh, I sat down and I ate a whole pan of brownies this week. And I feel just terrible. I'm awful. I'm stupid. I know better. I'm going to be fat forever. That sort of thing. We tell ourselves these things. We need somebody from the outside who can say, that's not true. That's not true. And I want to encourage you. Okay, so you had a bad week. You ate a pan of brownies. What are you going to do next week? What if you feel like doing that again next week? Will you call me? Call me and I'll come over and help? Eat the brownies? No, I'll come over and encourage you not to do that. Have a brownie. You want me to take the rest of your brownies home? I'll protect them and I'll bring you one at a time. That wouldn't work for me. Don't ever ask me to do that. You will never get another brownie in your life. Encourage one another and build each other up. Romans 1:11 and 12. I long to see you so that I may impart to you some spiritual gift that will make you strong. Well, what is spiritual gift is Paul going to impart? He says that is that you and I may mutually encourage each other by our faith. Mutually encourage. This goes both ways. Everybody can help somebody. Everybody can encourage somebody. And we see this in 2 Corinthians 1:3 and 4. So it says, praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us all in our trouble, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort that we ourselves received from God. So when we're in a struggle, when we're in a difficult place, God comforts us. We then learn how to do that, learn what works, and we take that and we encourage each other when other people are in trouble. This is so important. This is so key. When someone needs help, we need to be there to help them. This goes on. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Don't let that unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Build each other up. Encourage one another. Help each other. It not only benefits them, it benefits you. For hearing yourself comfort somebody else when you get into a struggle next time, that message is solidified in your heart. Philemon, I love this. Your love has given me great joy and encouragement because you, brother or sister, have refreshed the hearts of the Lord's people. Do you see yourself as refreshing the hearts of the Lord's people? Encouraging one another. And as we do that and others see that, it brings joy. It brings encouragement. Encouragement for others to go out and do that too. To be that accountability, to be that encouragement for each other. Hebrews 3:13. Encourage one another daily. As long as it is called today, right? So when is that? That is today. Tomorrow it'll be today. Next week it'll still be today. Encourage one another daily as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Why do we encourage one another in the faith? Why do we hold each other accountable in the faith? So that we will not be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. And that takes us back to not allowing those who are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient, ungrateful, not lovers of good, treacherous, wrath, conceited, not allowing those people to worm their way into our homes to gain control over us because we're loaded down by sin and swayed by all kinds of evil desires. So that we can learn the truth. Learn and come into a knowledge of the truth and have it imparted in our hearts. Encourage one another daily as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Again, tying back to last week's message, I was feeling really strong about how we speak anger and hatred and really abuse, and we call each other names, and this is coming from the mouths of Christians. What should be coming from the mouths of a Christian? Encouragement, joy, comfort, support, accountability. That's what we should be doing. And when? Every day, as long as we call it today, we should be encouraging one another. That's what I always hope these videos do. I hope they encourage you. I hope they cause you to think, how am I living into this? It does me. After I record this, I spend the whole week thinking about, how am I doing with this today? Who have I encouraged today? Who have I, could I create a little small group to invite people over for tea in the afternoon, for a cup of coffee, to go for a walk? John Wesley used to ask his small group, how is it with your soul? How is it with your soul? And so often we want to just say, oh, it's great. It's great. All is good. Yeah. All the time we're struggling with maybe an addiction, gluttony, laziness, cussing, drinking, pornography. I don't know. What are you struggling with? Could be just about anything. And we feel like because we call ourselves Christian, because we go to church, we have to hide this. Maybe it's anger with a brother or sister in the church. Maybe it's downright hatred of somebody in the church. Maybe it's I can't stand to be near that person. Whatever it is, instead of allowing Satan to keep shaming and shaming and shaming and beating us and getting us to leave the church, not spend time with people of faith because we're embarrassed, we need to say, no, I am going to find somebody I can confess this to, somebody I can trust, and I'm going to work past this. I'm going to find somebody who can comfort and encourage me and hold me accountable. And I'm going to get over this. Trust me, it is doable. It is doable. And if I can be that for any one of you, I am here. And I can tell you that my husband David, if you feel like you need a man to have that accountability, that you don't feel you can tell a female, fine. No offense, no problem. He's willing. I can guarantee it without even talking to him about it. Text him, call me, private message me. I'll get you his number. I'll have him call you if that's what you want. We need to have these accountability partners. I am so thankful for my coach this morning for this weight loss program. I don't know if she's a Christian. Maybe sometime I'll ask her. But for me, right now, I needed somebody to help me get back on track with this because I want to be healthy. What do you need? God has put something in your mind right now and said, this is what you need to work on. Or this is who you can contact and encourage and be that partner for them. I pray that you have a great day. I pray that you just have a wonderful, beautiful Friday and weekend or whatever day you're watching this. And if I can encourage you, I want to be here for you. I will be praying for you. I pray for everybody who watches my videos. And I will see you next week along the Bending Road. It was great to have you join me today along this Bending Road. You can connect with me on social media or on my website at bendingroad.weebly.com. I would love to pray for you as you navigate the bends in your road. Remember, when you see the bend in your road, do not be afraid. Take the hand of God and keep walking. You are not alone.